with AI, now we can interview everybody on Earth. We could ask them about their lives and how they're living and how they think about themselves and how they think about their communities and how they fit in, and like help people essentially write their own story in a way that is satisfactory to them, that empowers them to live better lives. But also on the flip side of that, we record all that and store all that so that their loved ones can access their wisdom and lived experience in the future. The very first version of that is we just create a Wikipedia, let's say, family for every person. And all of a sudden, it's almost like you had this documentary crew following your life and is invested in your success and like the how amazing the story is that you're living.
Hello, Christian. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
You're doing great, Elisha. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Beautiful. And thank you so, so very much for being here. See, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Christian, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Christian, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Christian, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Christian, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Christian, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Christian. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so, so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Christian that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show, because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions, Christians. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, my man, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Christian is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Christian. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
No, happy to be here, man. It means a lot. It's been extremely meaningful to me to have the support I find from putting what we're doing out there and having people from all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, nationalities, even express support for what we're doing at Autograph. It's very humbling to me to have found something that moves people so much, that
Mm,
connects us to something bigger and that
yeah,
reminds us that we're part of one big human story.
yeah, I tell you, and that's so beautiful. So let's get started. I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Christian, for some reasons. Firstly,
Hmm.
my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, Christian, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my
Hmm.
man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness, ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why?
Hmm.
Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Christian on the show is for the sake of the audience. You say, Christian, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of
Hmm.
information flying out there. So this folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Christian, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Christian got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Christian,
I'm
my man,
excited.
over to
Yeah, let's do it.
you.
I'm gonna try and be efficient. I grew up in Paraguay. Uh, it's in the middle of South America. It's a very agricultural place. It's very tranquil. There's a lot of big families that never leave, so you have multiple generations of, great grandparents, grandparents, parents, cousins, like,
Wow.
and and so there's always an event. There's always a birthday, there's always a graduation, a wedding, something's always going on. And but I grew up with the interesting context that my parents were both computer scientists and tech entrepreneurs, which is very rare in Paraguay. And I was very lucky to watch them iterate and iterate and iterate and try idea after idea till they found success building out SMS infrastructure for the telcos of the world, like the AT&Ts of the world. And it's the only case I know so far of a Paraguayan tech company expanding internationally. And so that was life changing for us, especially. And I was, what I think is the right age, because this was when I was maybe 14 or 15 that things started taking off. We started thinking a bit more global. And I applied to school in the US because my parents always held me to a very high standard in terms of being a good student. And when it came to the time to show, hey, maybe I can try and apply to school in the US. Um, I was incredibly lucky to get into Stanford, and that changed everything. I discovered this major there called symbolic systems. I knew I was going to do something in computer science, but I didn't just want the how. I also really like the why. And symbolic systems is a mixture of computer science, psychology, philosophy, and linguistics, which, it's pretty lucky, I guess, but it's exactly the toolkit that you need to navigate what's going on in AI today, right? We need to know how it's going to affect people. How does it affect society? Is it good or bad? Is it sentient? Does it exist? Does it deserve rights? Who gets legal liability for what? And linguistics is the way we talk to it, right? Like if we understand the linguistic structure of our minds, we can think that a bit more clearly about how it works in AI and LLMs. And anyway, I fell in love with it. Symbolic systems is the best. I absolutely love it. Turned that into a teaching job. I taught computer science at Stanford, and then turned that into a job at Google. I was a software engineer for 4 years. And then during the pandemic, my wife, my now wife, was doing med school in Chicago, and this was the end of the world. So I was like, I'm gonna move to be with the people that I love. I moved to live with her, and I left Google to join the family business. And the family business was changing from a SMS infrastructure business to an investment business. And so there were a lot of discussions around legacy and family values, and it was a very heightened state of the world. And so, and we were all apart. So I was in Chicago. My sister had started school in Boston, and so we were all distributed. And there were all these questions about how do we preserve our family culture where the next generation is going to be just not in the same place, and the next generation, our kids, are going to be probably growing up in very different environments than the ones that we grew up in. um, and that was great. And we did that for 2 years, and my parents are the ultimate founders, so they would say things like, you need to act like a founder and think like a founder and build those founder instincts. And I realized that I couldn't really simulate that I really, like, if I wanted to learn how to be a founder, I needed to actually be one. And so I decided to pursue this quest right around when ChatGPT came out. And um and so the so I wanted to make sure that I was careful with what I built, not something that would be easily destroyed by OpenAI or by any other competitor that might be around, right? And so I took some time off. I couldn't exactly find what the idea was immediately, but I realized that data is the most important thing in the world of AI. That the better data that we give AI, the better the AI is going to be in the future. The same way that when you read a book and it changes your life, like what are the data interventions that we can put to AI so that, AI, which is going to be more and more powerful, points to the future that we want and not the future that we don't want. And the first pass at that was writing my story. And by my story, I mean a sci-fi novel that has all my philosophy in it, and it was designed to be this like software update for the priors of the mind of God, if you'll accept that. And I didn't realize that I would feel this existential relief, like that my story is out there, like that I told my piece, that like I said what I was here to say. And I wish that everybody could feel that feeling, like that they could become the author of the story that they're living out. In my case, I was literally doing it. I was literally becoming the author of my story. And so I was like, okay, this is really great. Let me start a podcast to talk about the ideas in the book. And um and I love the format. I mean, I'm sure you fall into the spectrum too. Podcasting is the best, like you get to meet people, you get to talk about cool stuff, you find yourself in conditions that you never would have expected. And I was interviewing all these like AI professors and venture capitalists and engineers and philosophers and psychologists, and it was amazing. And I realized that the person I really should be interviewing is my grandma. My grandma had a crazy life story where,
Mm.
her dad was an MI6 agent. They fled Europe during the war. Um, and it's just a crazy set of stories that I think is that we know as mythology because we'd always been in the same events and like the stories would get told, but they'd never been recorded anywhere. And so I wanted to interview her, and before we could have that interview, she had a stroke, and it left her paralyzed for the last 18 months of her life.
Oh, so sorry,
Um,
man.
it's life, man. Like part of me was like, that's just life. The difference was that I had the outline of the questions that I wanted to ask her, right? And so that was the trigger point. That was like, wait a minute, with AI, now we can interview everybody on Earth. Um, we could ask them about their lives and how they're living and how they think about themselves and how they think about their communities and how they fit in, and like help people essentially write their own story in a way that is satisfactory to them, that empowers them to live better lives. But also on the flip side of that, we record all that and store all that so that their loved ones can access their wisdom and lived experience in the future. Um, the very first version of that is we just create a Wikipedia, let's say, family for every person. Like you talk about your life. You mentioned your mom. That's a Wikipedia page. You talk about your dad. That's another Wikipedia page. You talk about a bar that you used to go to in college. That's another Wikipedia page. And all of a sudden, it's almost like you had this documentary crew following your life and is invested in your success and like the how amazing the story is that you're living. The cool thing is, with that, we can also create a model of the person that sounds like them and speaks like them and has all their memories, so that future generations, when they're telling Walter, the historian, about their life, Walter, I don't know whether to take this job or not. Walter can say, hey, this reminds me of something that your grandpa went through. Do you want to speak to him for 15 minutes? And even if Grandpa's no longer around, you would be able to hear the story from Grandpa's life about how he navigated this similar decision. And for the first time in history, you'd be able to ask questions. And once I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't dedicate my life to anything else because I was late for my grandma. I'm not going to be late for my dad or my mom. Uh, and so it's really exciting to be at this like really weird frontier of the human experience. Like we want to our mission is to record and retell the history of humanity in every character's own word. um and it's been kind of this beautiful gift that keeps on giving, in the sense that like People are so supportive of this. It brings people together. It doesn't move people apart. And it's and then we started building a business out of it, and now we're in the stage where there's a product out there, people are using it, we get feedback. The feedback is incredibly emotional because we get people at the peaks and valleys of life, right? Like after a big birthday, or a big milestone like a graduation, or also when you get bad news from the doctor, right? Like when life forces you to contemplate that this is all borrowed time. And so um it's the honor of our life, it's the honor of my life to build a project that aims to honor uh those feelings and those situations that people are in, and celebrate life, so that the future can actually internalize that wisdom, the applied knowledge. And like we see the consequences of the actions, like a decision that a grandparent made affects who you are today. And so being able to integrate with that and relate to that, I think, is something really special that we're building at Autograph.
Tell you, my man, this is so, so beautiful and important. It is important because I thought about something about, I think it was 5 years ago when I get to, was it 5 years or 6 years? When I get to finally meet my granddad. And I've got all of these questions to ask his own dad, but his dad is
Mm,
late. And
mm,
I was wondering, I wanted to know the source, I wanted to know my
mhm,
ancestors, I wanted to understand these things properly. And I wanted to
mhm,
ask series of questions. Okay, when you were at this particular age, which job did you do? What made you
mhm,
approach the woman that gave birth to my father? Stuff like that. But you see, those were just going through my mind, and I was a little bit bothered, and I'd be like, I wish there could be a solution to this particular problem. Now, getting to hear you say these stuffs and coming across you after 6 years, though it's late now, and I really do not have all of the necessary information I need, you know, but I'm so glad that you are manifesting the light within you because this is so important. Do you know how emotional many will get when you get to hear the voice of very important people within your family line? I tell you, you
mhm.
how did you come up with this wonderful stuff? This is so beautiful, man.
Thank you, Elisha. I
Wow.
mean, I mean, it's one of those things where my whole life led up to it, like, it goes back to my grandma when they left Europe and decided to find better fortune, or look for better fortune in South America, which to them was the end of the world. It was like, what's the farthest away from the war that they could be? And I'm the product of generations of migration and adaptation, and what I'm doing today. I'm an immigrant in the U.S. today, so it's and then like there's an unbroken chain from, it goes way farther back. I mean, it goes all the way back to the very beginning of how we remember ourselves, and I've always been very interested in where are we going, and we can't really answer where are we going if we don't know where we come from, and or if we choose to ignore where we come from. And so the fact that I was able to find something that moves people, and you're right. I mean, like, the emotional layer is incredible. Um, it's just a really huge blessing in my mind, right? Like, I think it's just the application of all my knowledge. It's like, I love storytelling, I love podcasting, I love media, I love stories, I love people, um, I love wisdom. I think wisdom is worth preserving. And I believe, like, I believe that the love that parents have for kids is like, if given the chance to transcend death, will. And it does. Like, we are here because at some point somebody decided to keep it going, and we keep carrying that torch. So I really appreciate you saying that. It was really
Beautiful.
special.
Beautiful, my man. You're doing such a fantastic one. And you've answered almost all of my questions except one.
What is it?
Okay. All right. So what is next for you and for Autograph?
Next for me is more autograph. I want to say autograph has so much room to grow. We're excited. We're the next chapter that we're building is shared libraries. So that instead of having Wikipedia, world for each individual person, we want to be able to create shared libraries with shared Wikipedia pages. So for example, you go on a family trip, or you have a shared experience with a group, a bachelor party, a wedding, and you want to invite other perspectives too. They are a part of your story as well. Um, how to create these shared libraries so that every group can have its own little tribal knowledge stored forever, so this is like all the family stories together so the whole family can see it, not just one person at a time. um, and the possibilities are really endless, right? Like we want to be a trusted source where you can share your human experience, that we will surface the cultural context back to you that is most relevant to make the best decisions that you can. um, yeah, it's just nonstop in that journey, right? So we're excited to spread the message and have more people try out the product and help us improve it. Um, there's no shortage of use cases, right? People, when thinking about the stuff, there's different things that people want to leave behind. And so how do we organize that and make that as easy as possible? Yeah, autograph.ai.com. That's where I will be living for the next 10 years or 20 years if I get the chance.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I got that. And that's a fantastic one. So to bring this to an end, Christian, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, or start to make a use of your wonderful software autograph, how can that be possible?
Sure. If I had a little nugget to leave behind, is that your voice matters. Um, you are the hero of your own story, whether you accept it or not. And you're not just the hero, you're the author. And you're not just the author, you're the editor. You get to choose how you relate to the narrative that you tell yourself every morning. Um, and and you don't know how your actions will ripple in time. Like this act of kindness that you do may be something that saves someone's life, and there may be grandkids in the future that will have to thank you for it. There's always someone watching. And um yeah, there's a lot of people who don't allow themselves the space to feel like the main character, but there you are the main character of your story. And yeah, I mean, autograph.ai is where I'll be. I'm on social media too as life underscore of underscore CCB on Instagram and X. Um, and that's where I post my more like philosophical thinking, but that's also a good way to grab a hold of me. And if you want to talk about anything, I'm always available. But the best way to talk to me at scale is through Walter.
Beautiful. That's a profound one. So that's going to be the end of the show, Christian. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
You got it, Elisha. Happy to be a part of it.
Okay, man. That was a beautiful one. Wow. And thank you for the wonderful stuff you're doing. I tell